Lincoln SaltDogs baseball on 1240 AM KFOR, where tonight it's Game 2 of the weekend series with the Joliet Jackhammers. Hello again, everybody. I'm Len Clark. Jason Van Arco back at the KFOR studios. When we come back, we'll have tonight's starting lineups, and we'll do that right after this on KFOR.
I've got to increase my profits, or my lemonade stand will never make the Fortune 500.
And the starter in tonight's ball game, and game number 2 against the Joliet Jackhammers, and this is the batting order that he will face. Leading off and playing center field for Joliet, Jermaine Allensworth. Gabby Delgado will play second and bat second. Jason Drobiak bats third and plays first base. Josh Loggins, the cleanup hitter for the Jackhammers, will bat fourth and play right field. Kyle Logan batting fifth and playing left. John LeCaff batting sixth and playing third base. Jeff Goldbach, the catcher, will bat seventh and catch. Dan Underwood, the DH tonight, will bat eighth, and Dan Furlett, who played in yesterday's ball game, his first for the Joliet Jackhammers, will bat ninth and play shortstop for Jeff Isom's Joliet Jackhammers. Joliet with a record of 20-20 coming into tonight's ball game here at Haymarket Park. Defensively, it's Mike Goss in left, Corey Harris in center, Jake Whitesides in right field. Peachy Billette at third, Albanus Machado at short, Gabe Suarez is the second baseman, and Brian Warner, B-Dub, the captain, is at first. Kevin Sullivan behind the plate with a heavily bandaged right hand, and the left-hander Michael Kesten on the mound for the Lincoln SaltDogs, as Kesten coming in with a record of 3-1 and an earned run average of 4.58. The SaltDogs in the white uniforms trimmed in red and blue, while Joliet coming in with the burnt orange tops and the gray bottoms. And here is Jermaine Allensworth to lead it off. Allensworth is a .267 hitter with 3 home runs and 18 runs batted in. 1 for 4 last night. He is 2 of 11 in the series against the Lincoln SaltDogs. So the former first-round draft choice of the Pittsburgh Pirates will step in. A couple of taps of home plate, and we're just about set for baseball. The first pitch right across the plate for strike one, and we are underway at 7:06 here on this Saturday night, 4th of July weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska. High leg kick by Kesten. His pitch is inside, missing for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike on the leadoff hitter for the Joliet Jackhammers. The 1-1 offering by Kesten is hit toward the right side, right at Brian Warner. He'll step on first himself, and Allensworth is out for out number 1. So 1 up and 1 down for Joliet in their half of inning number 1. And here is Gabby Delgado. Gabby Delgado, the second baseman for Joliet. Delgado hitless yesterday, 0 for 4 last night. He's a .293 hitter with no home runs and 8 runs batted in. Delgado 1 for 10 against the SaltDogs this year. A right-handed hitter as Kesten will look in and shake off Kevin Sullivan. The high leg kick and the pitch right at the knees for strike 1. No balls and 1 strike on Delgado. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Second pitch on the way to Delgado is outside. A fastball delivered by Kesten outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bruce Allen calling the balls and strikes tonight as this pitch at the knees for strike 2. Trent Dumont is the first base umpire, and Mike Trotter is the umpire at third base. Infield playing back, the outfielder straight away as there is a strong wind blowing in from the south. As Kesten full wind, the 1-2 pitch is popped up. It will find foul territory. Kevin Sullivan shedding the mask and making the catch for out number 2. So Delgado pops out to Kevin Sullivan, and that will bring up the June Player of the Year, or should say of the month in the Northern League, Jason Drobiak. Drobiak batting .333 with 11 home runs and 44 runs batted in. Drobiak 1 for 5 last night. He is 4 of 13 in the series this year against the Lincoln SaltDogs. Michael Kesten, full windup, inside pitch that will back Drobiak off the plate for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes on the first baseman for Joliet. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs, top of the first inning. High leg kick by Kesten, a swing and a miss for strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on the big left-handed hitter out of Connecticut. Drobiak playing ball at the collegiate level at the University of Connecticut in the Big East, as he will cut on this pitch and foul it back to the screen for strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Jason Drobiak. Jason Drobiak, last year playing in Tampa, single A ball. The 1-2 offering. Hit toward the gap in right center field. Corey Harris shading his eyes, losing the ball, but then finding it again and making a running one-handed catch to retire the side. So Joliet goes 1-2-3 in the top of the first inning. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first inning, and the SaltDogs coming up to bat. 2-0 as we go to the top of the second inning. Michael Kesten, the left-hander, concluding his warm-up tosses as the SaltDogs infield will toss the ball around. Albanus over to Peachy Ballette, and Peachy with the soft toss to the left-hander, Michael Kesten, who had an easy top of the first inning, getting the first 3 batters to go down. And now he will face the middle part of the batting order for the Joliet Jackhammers. Josh Loggins, Kyle Logan, and John LeCaff. Josh Loggins will step in, 2 for 4 last night, 2 of 11 in the series. Loggins, a .267 hitter on the year with 8 home runs and 34 runs batted in. The first pitch on the knees for strike 1. Is Kesten doing a nice job of keeping the ball down tonight? 0-1 on Loggins. Kesten, his feet apart on the rubber, very wide stance, full windup, butt showed, laid down foul for strike 2. So Josh Loggins saw Peachy Ballette playing deep behind the bag at third. Decided that he would try to bunt himself on. It's foul for strike 2. So Loggins will step back into the batter's box behind the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Josh Loggins out of Lafayette, Indiana, an LS5. A lot of Purdue and Lafayette, Indiana connections on this team for Joliet. The 0-2 pitch is a slow grounder toward Albanus. He'll glove it and throw it, and that's out number 1. Loggins thrown out 6-3 by Albanus, and that will bring up Kyle Logan, the number 5 hitter, in Jeff Isom's batting order. Logan 1 for 2 last night against the SaltDogs, 4 of 10 in this series. He's a .281 hitter on the year with 7 home runs and 18 runs batted in. 2-0 Lincoln leading. 2 home runs in the ball game in the bottom of the first inning. 1 by Whitesides and 1 by B-Dub, Brian Warner. And Kesten will start off Logan with a ball outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Logan, a big left-handed hitter. Lefty-lefty matchup, shows bunt, pulls it back as the entire infield playing back. Brian Warner behind the bag at first, and Peachy Ballette way behind the bag at third base. Now Peachy will play in, even with the bag at third base, and Warner still playing back as the ball is sprayed foul, hooking into the berm area down the left field line. 2 balls and 1 strike on Kyle Logan. Logan out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. One of the veterans on the Jackhammer squad. Played last year in Triple-A ball with New Orleans. Pitch outside by Kesten, missing for ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike on Kyle Logan. So Logan awaiting that 3-1 pitch. Here it comes. And he'll foul it off toward the left side. And the count has worked full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Top of the second inning. It's Michael Kesten on the mound for the SaltDogs tonight. Throws this one outside, and that is ball 4. First walk of the ball game, and the first base runner for Joliet as Kyle Logan draws a 1-out walk. So Logan is on, and here is the number 6 batter in the lineup for Joliet, John LeCaff. The third baseman batting .296 on the year with 3 home runs and 20 runs batted in. LeCaff 1 for 4 last night. He's 3 of 11 against the SaltDogs this year. LeCaff, a right-handed hitter, will face Michael Kesten, who will work out of the stretch. Kesten will come set at the belt, a glance at first. He'll come plateward, bunt showed, pulled back, and Sully thought about a snap throw down to first base, but he didn't throw it, so it's ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes on LeCaff. John LeCaff out of Downers Grove, Illinois, in the Chicago area. Pretty close to Schaumburg. Now playing for the Joliet Jackhammers. Runner at first on his way to second. No throw. It's a strike, and that will be a stolen base by Kyle Logan. Kyle Logan stealing second base. That's his 15th stolen base of the year. He leads the Jackhammers in that category. And with 1 out, Joliet with a base runner in scoring position at second base. SaltDogs infield playing back. The outfielders playing deep and straight away. 1 ball and 1 strike on John LeCaff. The right-handed hitter awaiting the left-hander's throw, and now the runner trying to steal third base. Here's the throw and the tag, and Peachy Billette will lay the leather down and smack Kyle Logan, and he is out 2-5. 2-5, caught stealing in Joliet, a little greedy, and they paid the price. 2 down now in the top of the second inning. 2 balls and 1 strike on the hitter, John LeCaff, nobody on base, and Michael Kesten now will work from a full windup. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Chopper toward Peachy. He'll charge, glove, set up and throw. A little bit high over the head of Brian Warner. And on his way to second base, here's the throw, and sliding in safely, it's John LeCaff. Peachy Billette with the throwing error. And that will advance John LeCaff to second base. Peachy fielded it cleanly, but last night he was eaten up at third base. And tonight, he gets nailed with his 7th error. So a mental mistake by the SaltDogs. 2 down, a runner at second base in the form of John LeCaff. Here's the number 7 hitter in Jeff Isom's batting order. Jeff Goldbach, the catcher. Runner at second base. And here's a shot up the middle. That's a base hit. Corey Harris will glove. Here's the throw to the plate. On line and in time. Corey Harris will throw him out. 8-2. No run score. And that's the half inning. We go to the bottom of the second inning. The SaltDogs lead 2-0. We go to the top of the third inning. The 8-9-1 hitters for Joliet coming to the plate. Dan Underwood, Dan Furlett, and Jermaine Ellensworth. You can hear in the background it is very windy tonight at Haymarket Park. I'm Len Clark, Jason Van Arkel back at the KFOR studios on a beautiful night for baseball here on this Independence Day weekend in the capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska. Well, here is Dan Underwood, the designated hitter. A .355 hitter with 2 home runs and 7 runs batted in. He'll take the first pitch by Kesten low for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes on Dan Underwood out of Bedford, Indiana. And he'll foul this pitch off for strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dan Underwood went to the same high school as Indiana basketball legend Damon Bailey, who played 4 years for Indiana University back in the late 80s, early 1990s. Here's a ground ball. Backhanded by Albanus. A long off-balance throw that will pull Warner off of the bag, and that's an infield single for Dan Underwood. That's the second hit off of Kesten. Jeff Goldbach with a single in the top of the second inning. So Dan Underwood is on a leadoff single here in the top of the third, and here is Dan Furlett, the former Southwest Missouri State Bear. Furlett is a right-handed hitter, as he will look down at his manager Jeff Isom and step back in with a teammate Dan Underwood down at first base. Short lead at first for Underwood. He's got 3 stolen bases on the year. Peachy Billette on the grass at third. Bunt showed. Laid down first base side. Sullivan out of his crouch. He'll go to first and throw it down to Brian Warner. So the sacrifice works, advancing Underwood to second base. Furlett out for out number 1. So 1 down on the Joliet Jackhammers as we go back to the top of the order. And Jermaine Allensworth. Allensworth will step in with 1 out and a teammate at second base. Allensworth grounded out to Brian Warner to lead off the ball game. The right-handed hitter hails from Normal, Illinois, but now calls Anderson, Indiana home. Kesten from the stretch, a glance back at second. He'll come plateward. Bunt showed, pulled back, and the fastball outside for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes on Jermaine Allensworth. The former Purdue Boilermaker steps in. Kesten will come set. The 1-0 offering on the way. It's side-armed, inside and low for ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Jermaine Allensworth last year with Joliet. He's a veteran. Has been with the Padres, the Pirates, the Kansas City Royals. As he will look at strike 1. 2 balls and 1 strike. Is Kesten ready to work? Has the glove resting on the right knee. As the throwing arm dangling, he'll bring the hand into the glove to grab the ball, and An off-speed pitch on the corner to even up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kesten looking for his first strikeout of the night. Haven't heard that K clap as of yet, as the infield for the SaltDogs playing back. Allensworth chops a slow one toward the left side. Peachy charging toward his left, throwing. They do get Allensworth, but on the play, Underwood advances to third. A tough play to make at third base by Peachy Billette. He had to charge in and go toward his left to grab that slow roller, but still had enough on the throw to get Jermaine Allensworth for out number 2. So 2 down, a runner at third base. And here is Gabby Delgado, who popped out in foul territory to Kevin Sullivan. Delgado is a switch hitter, batting right-handed tonight as he faces the left-handed throwing Michael Kesten. Lincoln leading 2-0 as the first pitch is delivered high for ball 1. So 2 down, a runner at third base. And here is Gabby Delgado, who popped out in foul territory to Kevin Sullivan. Delgado is a switch hitter, batting right-handed tonight as he faces the left-handed throwing Michael Kesten. Lincoln leading 2-0 as the first pitch is delivered high for ball 1. SaltDogs 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning. Back-to-back home runs by Jake Whitesides and Brian Warner. Here's another chopper toward Peachy at third. He'll glove and throw, and that will be all for Joliet in their half of inning number 3. No runs on a hit, no errors, a runner stranded after 2.5. It's Lincoln 2, Joliet nothing. This is 2-0 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Jason Drobiak, the player of the month for the month of June, in the batter's box to face Michael Kesten for the second time. Here's a swing and a miss to even the count up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Drobiak flew out to Corey Harris, and that ended the top of the first inning. 1 ball and 1 strike is a check swing on an outside pitch, missing. 2 balls and 1 strike is Michael Kesten getting the ball back from catcher Kevin Sullivan. Sully sets up on the outside part of the plate as Kesten, a high kick, sidearm delivery, swing and a miss. Strike 2 as Kesten looking for his first strikeout of the night, trying to stalk Jason Drobiak. 2-0, the SaltDogs lead. 2 runs on 3 hits. The 2-2 pitch is fouled off toward the left and off of the facade here at Haymarket Park, and then dropping down into the box seats. 2 balls and 2 strikes on leadoff hitter Jason Drobiak of the Joliet Jackhammers here in the top of the 4th inning. Here's Kesten's pitch. Fly ball in the infield. Second baseman Gabe Suarez right near the bag, called off by Albanus at the last second, and Albanus will make the catch for out number 1. Gabe Suarez was calling for it, but at the last second, he was called off by Albanus Machado, who will take it for out number 1. 1 up and 1 down for the Jackhammers in the top of the 4th. And here is Josh Loggins, who grounded out to Albanus at shortstop. His first time up, he's 0 for 1. Loggins, the right-handed hitter, stepping in to face Michael Kesten, the left-hander, out of the windup. Delivers the pitch. It is hit toward the gap in right center field. Jake Whitesides underneath it, fighting the sun and making the catch for out number 2. 2 down on the Jackhammers in the top of the 4th inning. 2 up and 2 down, and here is Kyle Logan. Logan was the first base runner for the Jackhammers as he walked off of Michael Kesten back in the top of the 2nd inning. 1 walk on the night for Kesten, no strikeouts. Infield playing back, Peachy playing up now at third base as the first pitch below the knees, ball 1 on Kyle Logan. Logan, a .281 hitter coming into tonight's game as this pitch is outside by Kesten. 2 balls and no strikes. Michael Kesten is known more for his strikeouts, number 2 in the Northern League right now, 2 behind Brian Rodaway. As he gets the outside part of the plate, letter high pitch, 2 balls and 1 strike on Kyle Logan. 2 down, top of the 4th, Lincoln leading 2-0. Swing and a miss, strike 2 after being down in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Kesten has battled back to even it up at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Lefty-lefty matchup. This pitch is low and outside, and the count has gone full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Kesten gets the ball back. Feet apart on the rubber. Here comes the K-clap. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Kesten with his first strikeout, and that's all for Joliet in the top of the 4th inning. They go 1-2-3. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Lincoln coming to bat. They lead by a score of 2-0. SaltDogs baseball on 1240 a.m. KFOR. Thank you, Jason. As Michael Kesten begins his 5th inning of work, only 1 strikeout in the ball game. Uncharacteristic-like of Mike is in one outing against Sioux City at Sioux City, 10 strikeouts. His last appearance in relief at Gary, no strikeouts, but he only worked an inning. And so Michael Kesten getting his warm-up tossers as he will get set to face the 6, 7, and 8 hitters of Joliet. I'm Len Clark. Jason Van Arco back at the studios of KFOR, and Ken Hamilton, the beat writer for the Lincoln Journal-Star in the broadcast booth with us as we watch Michael Kesten warm up. And this might be one of the last times we see Michael Kesten because he's got the stuff to go to affiliated ball.
Yeah, and you remember, even the season opener when they played up in Sioux Falls, his stuff, I mean, this evil, nasty stuff that he throws. If you're a batter, and tonight with the wind coming in, he can aim right at a left-hander's shoulder and have that thing just break right across. And the right-handers, he makes a break even different. He makes a break down a little bit, and he's one of those guys that you'd hate to even stand near the batter's box, much less in the batter's box.
John LeCaff will take the first pitch. He takes it for strike 1. No balls and 1 strike. How about this? Last year in affiliated ball, Michael Kesten, Brian Rodaway on the same team.
Yeah, and you wonder why they're here, but nonetheless they're here, and that's fine. And this league has grown so much. You look at how many in the first couple years when they kind of reorganized in 1991. There were a few players that went to major leagues and went to minor league contracts and stuff. And now there's, I think, 40 or so that guys who are Northern League veterans that are up there. It's proven to be a great step ladder for guys playing up. And then the guys that don't go up because of whatever, for size, like Brian Warner, hey, they got a home, they got a fan base. And, I know people come out here just to watch him play because you're going to get this full speed, all out, run through the wall kind of attitude, and he'll go.
The 0-2 pitch by Kesten outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes on John LeCaff.
I hope they don't get to Cardenas tonight, though, because he and I and Councilman John Camp, Kyle DeLea from 1011.
Ball is hit down the left field line. Fortunately, it's hooking toward the bullpen area. A long foul ball strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes on John LeCaff.
Anyway, we were in a pie eating contest today for the Great American Race downtown. And they had these about 5-pound apple pies. And Umberto and I looked at each other afterwards, and it was like, I need to lay down and maybe drink some water the rest of the afternoon. It was
1-2 pitch. Here's a slow roller up the line. Peachy Billette gloving, throwing off balance. Nice stretch by Brian Warner. In time for out number 1. And then Peachy Billette, you put him anywhere in the infield, he can play it.
Well, he kind of launched that kind of discus throw earlier tonight. And yet, you look at that play, he had to charge hard. He gets it, I'm going to say maybe 30 feet to the plate. He scoops that up, throws on the run, and Warner just scoops it up like it's nothing else. And Peachy's probably a better first baseman than he is third, but it's not a big harm having him out there.
1 down. Here's Jeff Goldbach, the catcher, taking the first pitch up high for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, Umberto is not supposed to be eating pies. They've got him on a strict diet, and don't let anybody else know. Here's a 2-hopper toward Albinus Machado, off balance throw, and he makes it look easy. He is a ballet in the infield.
He's something else.
It's the second ground out of the half inning, and that brings up Dan Underwood, the number 8 hitter.
You notice with him, guys don't have to stretch much to get his throws. No matter where Machado picks up the ball, he always throws these strikes right to first base. It's fun to watch him play.
So here's Dan Underwood, 1 for 1, a single his first time up. Talking with Ken Hamilton of the Lincoln Journal-Star, and talking about the Lincoln SaltDogs and what does this team need to do to get to, I don't want to say the next level, as there's a long foul ball strike for strike 1, but what does this team need, this organization need in order to become more and more recognized as one of the premier teams in the Northern League or in independent ball?
I think just get back to playoffs. The first 2 years they were in the playoffs, it was pretty exciting. The crowds reacted, and that time of year, towards the end of the year, Husker football starting, and as you know, the world kind of stops spinning at that point, becomes kind of pointed at each end. But getting in the playoffs, people maintain a big focus. And the last 2 years, no playoffs.
2-1 pitch is chopped toward Gabe Suarez. He gloves it, falls down, and throws while sitting on the ground. And that's a nice defensive gem at second base. And it's a 1-2-3 half inning for Michael Kesten and the Lincoln SaltDogs defense. We'll go to the top of the bottom of the fifth, and Lincoln leading by a score of Joliet Jackhammers coming up the bat, top of the sixth inning. Lincoln leading 2-0. The SaltDogs 2 runs on 6 hits. They have committed an error tonight. No runs on 2 hits, no errors for the Joliet Jackhammers. As Joliet 20-20 on the year. SaltDogs 21-19, and Michael Kesten back out on the mound. Full windup, and the first pitch delivered outside and low to Dan Furlett for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. I'm Len Clark. Jason Van Arkel back at the KFOR studios. Furley goes opposite field. Jake Whiteside's running hard toward the line, making the catch as he falls down. Nice job defensively and right by Jake Whiteside. He is having one heck of a series with the bat, now with the glove. Furley out for out number 1. We go to the top of the order. Here is Jermaine Allensworth. Allensworth is 0 for 2. Well, they set fireworks after the game, but the fireworks were conducted in the bottom of the first inning, 2-0 on 2 home runs, and that has been the extent of the scoring tonight here at Haymarket Park. We're in the top of the 6th inning, 2-0, Lincoln leading as you hear that wind whip from the south, blowing out toward left field. Allensworth taking that pitch high, 2 balls and no strikes. The relievers down in the bullpen for the Lincoln SaltDogs getting up and just tossing the ball around, trying to limber up, as Allensworth will spray one in toward the berm. And that will scatter some of the fans sitting on blankets tonight out in the Lens zone. 2 balls and 1 strike. Infield back, outfielder straight away. Peachy Millette behind the line. Back, I should say, at third, and he is going to have to charge it. It is going to be a bingo, a bunt single by Allensworth, as he saw the same thing we did. Peachy Millette playing way behind the bag, and Allensworth laid down the bunt, and he is on with an infield single. Third hit off of Michael Kesten tonight. A 1-out single for Allensworth, and here is Gabby Delgado. Delgado was 0 for 2. He popped out in foul territory to Kevin Sullivan and grounded out to Peachy Millette at third base his last time up. SaltDogs infield a double play depth with the exception of Peachy Millette, who plays in near the fringe of the grass on the hot corner at third base. Kesten throws over to first, runner going to second, and Brian Warner dropped the ball. That'll be a stolen base, and now on his way to third base is Allensworth. The throw not in time. That gets away from Peachy Millette, and Allensworth will advance home. So it'll be a stolen base and probably 2 errors that allowed Allensworth to advance to third and now home. And now it's a 2-1 ball game. Michael Kesten had Allensworth picked off, but Brian Warner just took the eyes off the ball. So 2 errors on that play, 3 now on the SaltDogs, and here is a bunt up the third base line. Peachy charging, throwing, and Brian Warner scoops this one out of the dirt for out number 2. Delgado was trying to take a page out of the Jermaine Allensworth playbook, trying to bunt himself on, and that time Peachy Millette was ready for it. 2 down, and here is Jason Drobiak. Nobody on base, 2 outs, 2-1. Lincoln leading Joliet. As we work in the top of the 6th inning, here's a chopper up the middle, and Gabe Suarez will knock it down, and not enough on the throw, and Drobiak is on base. Gabe Suarez was in shallow right center field when he knocked the ball down. Knocked it down and threw from his knees, and just could not get enough on the ball to throw out Drobiak. And so a 2-out single. 4th hit off of Michael Kesten. And here is Josh Loggins. Loggins is 0 for 2. As the right-handed hitter will step in. Brian Warner to hold Drobiak on the bag at first. Infield back. Forrest gets the SaltDogs out of the half inning at second base. As here's a chopper over to Albanus. He'll elect to go to first. A low throw, and once again Warner having to scoop it out of the dirt. And that is all for Joliet in the visiting half of inning number 6. But Joliet scores a run on 1 hit, 2 errors, nobody left on base. After 5.5, it's Lincoln 2, Joliet 1. This is SaltDogs baseball on KFOR. For Kyle Logan, he's now 1 for 2. Damian Myers works 5 innings, gives up 7 hits, 3 runs, all earned. Walked 2 and struck out 2 in the 23 batters that he faced tonight. Myers throwing 99 pitches before being lifted for Kyle Zaleski. Kevin Sullivan out to talk to his pitcher as Logan is on with a leadoff single. Hit number 5 off of Kesten, and we see action down in the SaltDogs bullpen. SaltDogs infield back at double play depth. Peachy Billette a couple of steps behind the bag and off the line at third base. Here's John LeCaff. Pitch up high, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Mike Goss playing deep in left. Corey Harris straight away center field, and Jake Whitesides playing straight away in right. Warner holding the runner on at first. Here's the throw over. Back in time, it's Kyle Logan. Gabe Suarez, the second baseman. Albanus Machado shaded toward the middle part of the infield, and Peachy Billette behind the bag and off the line at third with the battery of Kevin Sullivan and the lefty Michael Kesten. Ball is knocked foul and out of play toward the right. 1 ball and 1 strike. Michael Kesten only 1 strikeout tonight. Kesten, a new base in, has the glove resting on his right knee, shaking off Sullivan. A second time he'll shake him off. He'll get the sign he wants. He'll come set at the belt and throw it over to first. 1 ball and 1 strike on John LeCaff. Jeff Goldbach is on deck. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody down in the visitors' half of inning number 7. Fastball outside, missing for ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. LeCaff is 0 for 1, reached base on an error his first time up, and was thrown out by Corey Harris trying to come home. 6-4 to 3. That's a double play. Quickly 2 down on the Jackhammers. Top of the 7th inning. A chopper to Albanus. He went to Suarez for 1. Nice turn by the second baseman, and Brian Warner received the ball for out number 2. So 2 down, and here is Jeff Goldbach. Goldbach is 1 for 2. He singled his first time up. Native of Princeton, Indiana, will step into the batter's box. The former Princeton Tiger. First pitch by Kesten. Cut on and flied into left center field. It hangs up there, and Corey Harris making the catch to retire the side. No runs on a hit. No errors. Nobody left on base. It's stretch time at Haymarket Park. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. SaltDogs lead it 7-1. SaltDogs taking the rubber for his 8th inning of work, facing the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Dan Underwood, Dan Furlich, and Jermaine Ellensworth. Dan Underwood is 1 for 2 tonight. He singled his first time up. The DH, batting .355 for the Joliet Jackhammers. Right-handed hitter steps in. First pitch by Kesten on the way. Taking at the knees for strike 1. No balls and 1 strike on the former Purdue Boilermaker. Ball 1 pitch. Off speed, taken toward left. This will drop down the line. It will drop and roll. Goss will cut it off on his way to second base. And standing up with a leadoff double, it's Dan Underwood. As Underwood getting his 7th double of the year. Leading things off for Joliet in the top of the 8th inning in a positive fashion. Dan Underwood has been one of the most consistent hitters all year for Jeff Isom. But they can't find a position for him to play, so he is relegated to the DH duties, and he is loving it. So Underwood is on. The leadoff double. 6 hits off of Michael Kesten now is Dan Furlet. The former SMS Bear will step in and take strike 1. No balls and 1 strike on the shortstop for Joliet. Infield for Lincoln playing back. The pitch swung on and missed. Strike 2. Kesten working the inner part of the plate. Getting strike 2 as Furlet will back out. Shrugs the shoulder, adjusts the batting helmet, and awaits the 0-2 pitch. Kesten shaking off Sullivan. He's set at the letters, a glance back at second, the pitch on the outer part of the plate, missing for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Dan Furlet. Furlet was in single A ball in South Bend playing for the Silverhawks a couple of seasons ago. He'll chop one up the line at third, backhanded by Peachy. The throw that is scooped out of the dirt by Brian Warner. He snow-coned it. Brian didn't look into the glove. He just stuck the glove out there, and somehow the ball ended up in the glove. That's out number 1, but on the play, Dan Underwood to third base. Furlet thrown out 5-3. If we go to the top of the order, here's Jermaine Allensworth. Allensworth, another Purdue Boilermaker. These guys must be getting credit from Purdue to play on the Joliet team. First pitch by Kesten. Fastball high, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Kesten set at the belt. The high knee kick and the pitch. Fouled back to the screen. 1 ball and 1 strike. Doug Schreiber is the head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers. Doug played high school ball in LaPorte, Indiana for the Slicers for his father, Ken Schreiber, one of the most winningest baseball coaches in high school history. Purdue playing ball at Jake Mollenkoff Baseball Stadium. And Purdue thinking about building a new stadium. 2 balls and 1 strike. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Runner at third base in the form of Dan Underwood. Kesten set. Here's the pitch. Outside, ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike. Michael Kesten with only 1 strikeout tonight. Jermaine Allensworth awaiting the 3-1. Will chop it up toward the middle part of the infield. Albanus will glove throw in time, but the run scores an RBI for Jermaine Allensworth. His 19th of the year. And it's now Lincoln 9 and Joliet 2 as Underwood crosses the plate. So nobody on base. 2 down. Here's Gabby Delgado. Delgado is 0 for 3. A native of Carolina, Puerto Rico. That's the same hometown as Fernando Diaza and the brand new pitcher for the Lincoln SaltDogs, Miguel Martinez, who was signed today. First pitch in there, strike 1. No balls and 1 strike on Delgado. The new pitcher, Perez, played last year out in California with the Inland Empire team, as Martinez was a teammate of Peachy Billette. 1-1 the count. This pitch up high and out of the strike zone. 2 balls and 1 strike on Delgado. Michael Kesten, beginning his 8th inning of work, delivers the 2-1 pitch. Down the heart of the plate, strike 2 taken. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The longest outing this year for Michael Kesten, 8 2/3 innings. Back on June 5th at Sioux City in Game 3 against the Explorers. Ground ball, Gabe Suarez toward his left, scoops it up, throws. That's out number 3. And Michael Kesten now with his longest outing of the year. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. SaltDogs leading by a score of 9-2. This is SaltDogs baseball on KFOR. Michael Kesten towing the rubber, going to work top of the 9th inning, trying to get the complete game victory. Only 2 players have gone complete games, and only 1 has a victory, and that's Brian Rodoy. Rodaway will get the start tomorrow. He has got 4 complete games, 3 wins. Here's a chopper towards Suarez, who charges, gloves, throws, and it is in time. Is Brian Warner. Looked like he might have pulled his foot early. But they do get Jason Drobiak for out number 1. Humberto Cardenas, a complete game loss at Gary. And now Michael Kesten trying to become the 4th pitcher on the SaltDogs staff to get a complete game. Adam Lesko, remember that rain-shortened game, an 8-inning contest. He took the loss in that game. Ground ball, Gabe Suarez again. Gloves and throws. 2 down here in the top of the 9th, and the SaltDogs 1 out away from taking the 2nd straight game of this series from Joliet. The SaltDogs sweeping Joliet at Silver Cross Field. Down in Joliet, 3 games to none, trying to make it 5 straight over Joliet. The all-time series led by Lincoln, 19-16, 10-10 here at Haymarket Park against the Jackhammers. Here's Kyle Logan with 2 down. 9-2, Lincoln leading. First pitch by Kesten, low and inside, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. 9 runs on 12 hits for the SaltDogs. 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, as Logan had a cut. 1 ball and 1 strike. And now the SaltDogs 2 strikes away from getting the win. Kesten, feet apart on the rubber. Into the windup, sidearm pitch, strike 2 called. And now the K-clap will begin. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Fans starting the K-clap. Logan awaiting the 1-2. It's on the way, and it's fouled back and out of play. Count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And then the fireworks will begin, as if they haven't already been going off here at Haymarket Park tonight. K-clap begins. It intensifies. The pitch in the dirt outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Kesten gets the ball back from Kevin Sullivan. Wind whipping out toward left. Kyle Logan steps in, protecting the plate. Infield back. The outfielder straight away. Time called. Home plate umpire Bruce Allen calls time. That pitch was high and outside, so Michael Kesten getting a break, reaches down, grabs the rosin bag, and will toe the rubber. Logan steps back in with a 2-ball, 2 strike count. The K-clap begins. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Sullivan applies the tag to make sure. Only the 2nd strikeout of the night for Kesten, and this one will end the ballgame as the SaltDogs win it 9-2 in Game 2 against the Joliet Jackhammers. Michael Kesten, the complete game win, getting handshakes and hugs from his teammates as the SaltDogs, as we near the end of this first half, feeling the pressure, and they performed tonight, getting the win, and now the fireworks will begin. We'll come back with the line score after this on KFOR.
Thanks for listening to SaltDog Baseball on 1240 AM KFOR. SaltDog Baseball is brought to you by Pepsi, It's the Cola, and the Lincoln Journal-Star.
Left-hander gets the complete game win. His record improves to 4-1 on the year, while Damian Myers, the left-hander starter for Joliet, gets to lose his record now 0-5. Lincoln wins it 9-2. The rock and roll highlights are next on KFOR. Field, and it is gone. Home run, Jake Whitesides. Solo home run with 1 down in the bottom of the 1st inning, and Jake with his 6th home run of the year. A line drive shot over the right field fence.
Whiteside's 3rd homer in his last 2 games makes it 1-0 Lincoln. The very next batter was Brian Warner.
Damian Myers comes plateward. Opposite field shot. Going back is the left fielder, Kyle Logan, and this one is gone! A line drive shot to left field by Brian Warner. His first home run run since June 19th. And he'll touch them all, and the SaltDogs lead 2-0.
Back-to-back jacks for the Lincoln SaltDogs, and they have a 2-0 lead after one inning. It would stay that way all the way until the 6th, but in the meantime, the Dogs used some impressive defense to keep the Jackhammers at bay, including Corey Harris. He was in a slump at the plate, but he didn't let him affect him in the field.
And here's a shot up the middle. That's a base hit. Corey Harris will glove. Here's the throw to the plate. On line and in time. Corey Harris will throw him out. 8-2. No run score.
That play ending the top of the second inning, keeping Joliet off the board again. 2-0 into the top of the 6th. The Dogs starting the inning with some more great defense as Jake Whiteside shows he can do it in the field as well.
Furley goes opposite field. Jake Whiteside's running hard toward the line, making the catch as he falls down. Nice job defensively and right.
Unfortunately for the Dogs, their defense would let them down a little bit later in that top of the 6th inning. Jermaine Allensworth was at first base after a single, and the Dogs thought they had him picked off, and then things just went wrong.
Throws over to first, runner going to second, and Brian Warner dropped the ball. That'll be a stolen base, and now on his way to third base is Allensworth. The throw not in time. That gets away from Peachy Ballette, and Allensworth will advance home.
A pair of errors on one play cuts the Lincoln lead to just 2-1, and that could have been a turning point in the game, but the Dogs know how to answer. In the bottom of the 6th inning, with 2 out and 2 on, Albanus Machado stepped to the plate and provided an important insurance run.
As the ball is hit into right field, that's a base hit. It will score. Josh Patton from third, stopping at second base is Mike Goss, and the SaltDogs lead 3-1 on the RBI single by Albanus Machado.
Still with 2 out and 2 on in the bottom of the 6th inning, Gabe Suarez, his first ever hit as a SaltDog, an infield single to load the bases for the slumping Corey Harris. Corey Harris is slumping no more. This is tonight's Gene Lilly Surety Bonds play of the game.
First pitch to Corey. Fly ball deep to left. No doubt about this one. Grand slam home run. Corey Harris clears the bases. The grand slam home run. And the SaltDogs lead 7-1.
Gene Lilly Surety Bonds is the largest writer of surety bonds in Nebraska. Gene Lilly Surety Bonds, proud sponsors of the Lincoln SaltDogs, proud sponsors of tonight's play of the game. Corey Harris with a grand slam to bust it open. 7-1 Lincoln after 6 innings. And in the bottom of the 7th inning, Josh Patton would put the cherry on top with a long one of his own.
1-0 pitch. Patton, deep fly ball toward right. Josh Patton, 9-1. The SaltDogs have blown this game open.
In the top of the 8th inning, Jermaine Allensworth would hit an RBI ground out for Joliet, but it was far too little too late for Joliet tonight. The SaltDogs win their 2nd in a row over the Jackhammers, 9-2. Michael Kesten, the complete game, gives up just 2 runs on 6 hits on the night and ends it with a flourish, striking out Kyle Logan to end the ball game. When we come back, we'll head out to Haymarket Park one final time and check in with the voice of the SaltDogs, Len Clark, as we wrap up tonight's big win. You're listening to Lincoln SaltDogs Baseball on 1240.